can just get started because I anyway wanted to have a bit of an initial intro, and then I will preoccupy myself with going live after this. We can get started on social media a bit later. So today we're going to have a few introductions. Then we're going to try to understand what's up with the B2B marketing trends for next year. And we get started by understanding what happened this year. One is gonna address a very hot topic, which is budgeting. I had many people asking, how do I budget? I have this type of business, I have this kind of resources. What's the best way to budget? Is there a formula? So Oana will tell us if there is a formula. Then we're going to talk a bit about effective marketing tactics, like what channels and so on. And we heard your feedback, so we are hearing what the community and the ecosystem is saying. So what we're going to do, actually, we're going to share case studies of what are effective channels, what worked, especially more towards like the end of this year. And going into next year, what we, of course, think that works. And we're basing that on our experience. And again, NNC Services is a marketing consulting firm for B2B, especially B2B tech, but we also have our kind of industrial B2Bs, for example. And B2B Academy, so this is a partnership, and B2B Academy is actually an NNC spin-off that helps with courses and trainings. And because we had a lot of inquiries about how should we use AI in our marketing departments, or how should we build a strategy. We don't necessarily need let's say the consulting piece, but we'd love to learn. So that's why we spin off B2B Academy. And we're gonna also talk about marketing tools, and Daniel is here to showcase the marketing tools that work. Again, some of the things we'll share may be familiar, but some other things will probably not be that familiar to everybody. And please ask, use the chat window. We'll also have Q&A sessions in between different slots. So do go ahead and ask, be curious, learn as much as possible. We're here to also learn from you and from your own experience. So if you've tried some of this, do tell us, how does it work for you? And then in the end, we're going to share a few things on how we can move forward, because I know that Oana and the team has been hard at work to prepare some very interesting surprises for you, so that you can directly benefit off of this learning experience. And I'm going to let Oana share a bit more about the assessment and other things that Oana and Daniel prepared. So as we do this, I'd like to present myself. I'm Lory, or Lory Niculae. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a CEO of a few companies, a board member in different NGOs. I won't, take too long of a time to address this, as I'm sure most of you know me through LinkedIn, or maybe directly because we have nice friends and partners that are in the call. So we're going to quickly move on to understanding also a bit about you. So I'd very much love to understand, what are your challenges? Take out your phones, scan this, and please share what are your challenges. And while you are doing that, I would very much love to pass the mic a bit to either Oana or Daniel, while I try again to go live and make sure I won't be, doing any technical issues.
Yes, so I think Loredana, you need to. Okay, now I think everybody can go on Menti, and why don't you tick really quickly what your marketing challenges are at the moment. Also, feel free to use the chat window or just come off mute if you want to share anything directly. By the way, we hope this session is going to be quite interactive. So whenever you feel like you need to speak up or add something else from your own experience, some things that have worked or not in your business case, feel free to do that. So
Are you
Yep.
curious to see already the first results? Would you like me to share the slide with the responses? Okay, so maybe we can comment a bit on that before we move on to the full body of the presentation.
Yep. Let's see what people are saying.
Do you see the slide with the responses?
Now we still see the slide in the presentation with the QR code. Okay, so, okay, interesting. So the winner is too little time, too much to do, followed by goals not clear or not met, and short on budget and content creation. Oh, short on budget is moving up. So I was actually expecting to see this higher up the scale. AI not integrated. It's low on the scale, so apparently many of you are already integrating AI into their marketing and sales processes. So very, very interesting. It's kind of in line with what Loredana and I will share later on about the general trends in the market. And more important than that, we will come up with some solutions, especially for the too little time, too much to do part, where marketing automation and AI can actually lend a hand.
Okay, so apparently we cannot go live on LinkedIn today. So we're just gonna move to our presentation and we'll share the recording with the ones that are not able to join us today. I'm going to share again the presentation. This was more to understand if, what we prepared is more or less in line with your expectations. And I'm happy to say that it is. As we're ready to move into the rest of our presentation, I'd invite the newcomers to take a stab, maybe going through this. So do take out your phones, click the QR code and answer that, and we will share it with the results with you in a slide in this presentation when you get it. So you will get it after our course. Now, as I mentioned, there's quite a bit of topics, and the question is, what will be the most effective channels? And we always start, when we go to next year, we start with what performed best this year. There's quite a lot of studies that show us what worked best for this year. And when it comes to that, there are some, some intuitive ones, right? Like, who wouldn't guess that LinkedIn outperforms everything in terms of B2B, right? So it drives the most value. Most marketers use it for their business. And actually, how it's used is, and this is from a sales study, more than half of salespeople use content via LinkedIn, and they find that this is the most important tactic for making a sale. Okay, so this is real studies, real data, which you can check. Please test it, see if it works for yourself. I believe that more than anything else, testing and trying is the best things. But again, for example, for us, courses and webinars, which you will also find in this list, this is also something that proves to pay off, right? So, for example, an educated customer is much better than an uneducated customer. When you educate the customers, they usually, first of all, perceive you as a thought leader, but then also start to have the same language. You can start to align with your own values of your organization. So little by little is a more qualified sale. What that means is that, again, this is a comprehensive list of everything that works up there in terms of channels. I will come back to this actually after Oana's presentation. I will talk much more in depth in terms of, what are the channels we expect to perform going into the new year. But for this year, again, these are the channels that perform best in terms of marketing and going a bit into the sales process in terms of lead generation. Okay. And then I will talk again much more in depth into what we believe that it's going to be, let's say, a winner, the winning channels for next year. Please also keep in mind that there's a difference between what we use, right? So we may use, for example, a lot of conferences, okay, and how effective they are. This is why I added in here the information, both in terms of what we prefer to use and how effective it is, or what return on investment. For example, we love events. I'm happy to see that in-person events are back. I've just been at an amazing conference where I was able to talk in front of startups, and it was such a, empowering and fulfilling kind of experience. But then it can cost a lot in terms of travel, in terms of preparation of the stand, of the booth, and so on. And do we always get the ROI? Okay, that's the main question. So in terms of B2B, LinkedIn is still the biggest driver. It used to be much more in the pandemic right now. So we're back from 82% as a effectiveness during the pandemic to 79% this year. But still, LinkedIn is the main driver when it comes to B2B marketing, okay? Then, how about tools? There's a crazy debate this year around AI. There's companies that say, we're using AI, embedding AI in everything. There's companies that say, we're not touching on AI because it's not reliable. Then there's the, early adopters that say, hey, we tested, we tried, and so on. Our own experience with tools this year, first of all, is to understand AI is actually a tool, okay? It does not replace people. I heard that, there may be this misunderstanding. To quote actually Daniel here, ever since we have this AI, we hired much more people. So definitely AI, in a very practical sense, does not replace people. However, a person that can leverage technology and tools, it is much more equipped than a person that doesn't. We have specific mini courses like this that talk specifically about AI in sales and AI in marketing, which I'd love for you to check. And I want to come back to the fact that tools are more than AI. And I think that AI by itself doesn't do anything. And you have to pair it with a tool that does marketing automation, for example. And we'll talk about this later today. And we're going to have to pair it with data analysis, for example. And again, we're going to talk about this today as well. But basically, to understand that even today, although we have a lot of tools, marketers actually underutilize the tools, okay? So tools and technology in marketing, it's a bit overwhelming. In sales, it's the same. So the regular salesperson says that they have anywhere from 5 to a dozen tools that they could or should use each day, but they actually choose not to use even one sometimes, okay? So marketing and sales is pretty much overwhelmed in B2B with tools. Very few actually manage to integrate these tools with other business tools that they use. And in there lies a problem, but also a very big opportunity, which hopefully we will discuss in a bit. Talking about tools, this is also a major driver for budgeting next year. So this leads us a bit into Oana's session, but not before I mention what I'm going to talk about in about 15 minutes. So I'm going to talk a bit about how to understand customer journeys going forward, why data is very important in each campaign. We're going to talk about chatbots because they become crucial for marketing. And I heard this many times, in B2B, no, I prefer person-to-person interaction. Yes, we as salespeople, as marketers, as business owners, we prefer person-to-person interaction. But what the customer prefers is a chatbot and tools that they can self-serve, okay? So, for example, demo tools, chatbots, and so on. There's a ton of studies about that. Again, we're going to talk about it in a minute or so. How to integrate the technology in everything else. And then we're going to talk about how important video is and how to leverage video, but also other types of content with paid ads. And this is where we're going to address a specific case study. But right now, I'd very much like to hand it over to Oana, because I think that before anything, before talking about any channels, anything, we have to talk about budgets, right? What do we want to invest? When do we want to invest? How much resources we have, and so on. So, Oana, please take over the screen.
Yes, thank you. Let me know if you can see my screen right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's my responsibility to talk about the money, which is one of the most interesting topics ever. I am Loredana's partner at NNC Services. I've been in charge with our business development for the past 5 years. I'm a trainer at B2B Academy and also very passionate about AI in general, AI and technology in general, and its impact in the world. But let's get going with this very interesting topic, which is budgeting and resource optimization. And in order to get to some recipe or formula, we're going to take a look at the overall trends, see how marketing budgets have fluctuated in the past years, and also what are the expectations for next year. A short side note here is it's a very interesting thing that for this year in particular, we haven't seen any specific studies or trends regarding budgeting as of yet. Gartner usually put this out in December. However, for this particular year, apparently they will put something in January, which is also an interesting fact. Apparently, people are still, wrapping their heads around what's been happening, and AIs. There's a very interesting impact of AI into marketing budgets as well. So we're looking forward to that and to our future follow-up presentations. But let's see what is the data we have right now. So very, very briefly, between 2018 and 2022, marketing budgets averaged somewhere at around 11% of company revenues. Now, this percentage dropped quite significantly in 2021 at about 6.4%, which is no surprise. It was the first year after the pandemic started and everybody was cutting budget. In 2022, the percentage rose again to 9.5. The general recommendations, and like I said, we don't have some clear surveys, studies around what CMOs are planning to do or businesses with budgeting, but the general experts' recommendation is to allocate a marketing budget of roughly 10% of the company's turnover for 2024. Which is not such a big news for some of us in marketing. For many years, this was some sort of a rule of thumb, especially promoted by Gartner and other, companies as such. But if you are at the point right now working on your company's budget and you don't know where to start from, this is a good place to start. So going back to the basic. So this is basically the graphic from Gartner that supports what I just say. We see here this huge drop in 2021, in 2022 a rise, and very, very small drop in 2023 because we've seen some impacts from the economical context, from the social context, the war in Ukraine, the war in Israel. We're expecting to see some impacts as well in the following year. In 2023, these are the numbers we have. We had this general idea from the surveys. A staggering 75% of CMOs reported they are being asked to do more with less, which is interesting because it was something that we also saw in what you've put into the Menti question. There's enormous pressure to cut on MarTech spend, which is going to be interesting to analyze in all this AI adoption frenzy, because, cutting down on MarTech spend will impact that area as well. And here is a general approach that we've seen during the year. Online channels accounted for 55% of the budget, which is slightly lower than the previous years. Just, it was 56 last year. So there was a comeback of the offline channels. However, we didn't see such a big difference in budget allocation. I personally think we'll see a larger difference by next year, because this year was the first year when trade shows, B2B events really came back. But I assume for the next year, the budgets in this area are gonna go a little higher. And there is this 70-20-10 rule with regards to how you allocate a hybrid marketing model. And I'm talking about hybrid marketing because obviously during the pandemic, we were really focused on digital. That's why it was that drop in the budgets. But right now, things are going back into a balance. So this general rule, which we are also using when supporting our customers with marketing budgeting, is 70% with already established channels with proven ROI. So basically, that says, take a look at what's been working for you this year in terms of results, ROI, what has brought to you the most qualified leads, what was the best source of revenues in terms of marketing spend, and keep those and maybe try to scale them further. 20% emerging channels with broad adoption by your target audience, where the ROI may not yet be fully proven. This means that you should be really attentive to your target buyer persona. What are those people doing? What's changed into their behavior? Like, the easiest one is they're most probably, again present at B2B events, but there may be some other changes into that, such as maybe those buyers personas are now coming from a different generation, or there's this switch of generation into decision makers. So maybe they are more used to video channels, right? Like YouTube or TikTok, and Loredana will tell you more about the importance of video further on. And last but not least, the 10% rule, which says keep 10% of your budget for new platforms, the so-called moonshots, where your competitors are not yet present. Now, there is another important trend, and we know that this was a year with a lot of layoffs. And also at the end of last year, we've seen, especially in the technology area, and 58% of CMOs felt that their teams lacked effective strategy execution capabilities in 2022. We actually expect to see such an information for this year's surveys as well, especially with regards to AI tools adoption. This is something that we've perceived personally in many of the tech companies we've worked with. Companies are ready to adopt tools. They even have the budget set aside for that, but they do feel like their teams lack the capabilities. So addressing this through, first of all, training and also external support is crucial. There is this, there's another formula. So I'm sharing all these tested formulas and ways you can go around splitting your budget. Now, I'm also going to share with you some resources you are going to get after this session by email. Apparently, this year the budget split was almost even between brand awareness and performance media. So all the channels, if you were to put them into two main categories, they were kind of in B2B, they were kind of on average split. And the tactical budget allocation for B2B, especially for tech companies, but also in other areas, was pretty much like this. So roughly 40% around lead generation, 26% brand awareness, 20% demand generation, and 16% account-based marketing. And I'm gonna talk later in this session about how you can do lead generation effectively and what are the trends around that, because this is we expect this is still the area where most of the budget is going to go in 2024. So I'm going to talk more about the trends around this specific topic later on. Now, like I said, we don't have much information about what's going to happen with the budgets in 2024, but there are some surveys. This is the one from Matter, the most recent one. Apparently, the majority of marketers plan to increase their marketing investments. So this is kind of expected after that huge drop. The top areas of focus will be social media, content marketing, and brand building. And additionally, most of the respondents working with agencies plan to either increase or maintain their budgets with them. And I'm going back to that idea that there is a lack of capabilities, of skills internally, followed by those huge or those major layoffs, and also by this very quick adoption of AI tools. So we expect part of the budget to also be set aside for external support on that. I also wanted to tap into what's the AI impact on marketing budgets. So first of all, and what Gartner says and all their analysts and to all their webinars, we need to take, this overview to go back and understand that this is really a major shift. It's actually a paradigm shift. We are actually redefining priorities, but we are also encountering new opportunities. I personally don't think we'll see this huge impact from AI on budget for this year. Like I said, people are still wrapping their heads around, they're testing, they don't have a clear ROI. But I believe for 2025 and 2026, this will really reshape the way we're budgeting by the fact that we're going to be adopting a lot more AI tools. Another important thing here is that there is accessibility for small businesses as well. So there are a lot of AI tools out there. There is a plethora. Some of them are free, some are really approachable. So there are various budget sizes. It complements human creativity. Obviously, there will be more time for strategic thinking. But how this translates into the budget is that we will see, less bucks put into things that can be automated or taken over by AI, obviously, and more budget into strategic thinking or creative thinking. Another important thing, there's a rapid ROI. We saw with some of our customers that in the first few months, and also for ourselves, from adopting AI tools, there was a huge ROI. So you could very clearly see some results. And this, I believe, will impact how the budget will be structured throughout the year. So people are already working into it from quarter to quarter. And also, there's another impact, like I said previously, investing in training for marketing teams, so education and upskilling around AI. I believe this will take a bit of a chunk from the budget. Now we'll see where that comes from. Does it come from marketing or from HR, depending on the organization? But this is one part of the budget that's going to be really, really important. Here are some marketing planning resources. You just see some screenshots here, but as soon as I stop my screen share, I'm going to put the link into the chat as well. And also we're going to include this into the follow-up email. These are just some general ways and templates you can use. We use it for ourselves and for our customers when budgeting the marketing money. And now, just so you know what to put into these cells, I'm going to pass it over to Loredana so she can tell you what are the trends specifically around the channels.
Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes,
yeah, we do.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to discuss, as I promised, in details what are those channels that work, okay? Because this is all based on studies, based on data and so on, but the best way to address it is by directly diving into things that actually we know firsthand that work. We've seen this year that Google Analytics 4 actually made it easier for us to understand data. Okay, and not just that, but even tools like simple tools like ChatGPT, they make it really simple for us to analyze the data. And also, whomever could do that can get quite a lot of value. I think that next year we're going to see a lot of focus on B2B brand awareness, which we haven't had so far, because we said, well, B2B is about building, in-person relations, one-to-one and so on. But LinkedIn, and again, LinkedIn is the main driver here because this provides the most sales, especially in the mid-market of B2Bs. LinkedIn put together a study on B2B Institute. So if you go and search for it, where they show that not only for next year, but going forward, like to up to even 2030 and beyond, brand awareness in B2B is going to become big, and it's not going to be any kind of brand awareness, but it's going to be really creative, okay? So really innovative, really different ways to tackle this. How we can do it at our level, because again, big brands and big companies may have different tools, but we are here to support you, and we know that we have limited capacity, so we cannot invest huge budgets in B2B branding. How we do it is basically starting from a thought leadership, starting from producing content, starting from video and social media. And this is also no surprise to everybody. We're talking about video marketing for quite a few years now, but right now it becomes paramount that you do B2B video. So not just any video, but B2B video. This is actually the study that LinkedIn put together, and I'm going to come back to this particular data. But when we talk about content and building the right kind of content, we're talking about short form video. I know people are big on podcasting, but I think that there's a few different ways. You can use podcast for sales, but in order to build your brand, for example, via LinkedIn, start sharing small, short videos, right, with maybe answer to a question that one of your customer is addressing, or sharing a short customer testimonial and so on, and do that with paid ads. Account-based marketing is the second trend. So when we talk about ABM, right now we talk about two things: account-based marketing and account-based sales. Because again, the customers are bombarded with, in any side and any direction, with information. They will base more and more their decision on things that they search by themselves or direct relationships that they already have. ABM is a classic. This is not new, but you will see it appears everywhere. It's related mostly with hyper-personalization. What does that mean? It means that we have to do B2B marketing one-on-one. Okay, so when we message someone, we have to understand their intent. We have to understand where they're coming from, and we have to engage each person in particular. That being said, you'll find that in the LinkedIn study, actually, they say that in like 5 or 10 years from now, hyper-personalization will be gone, and that branding will overtake personalized conversation. I'm biased on that. I still believe that there's a place for branding in B2B, and there's a place for personalized conversations. I'd very much like to go to, let's say, clear examples. And one more step, one bit of technical information, and then we're going to go into a really nice case study. But for example, in the LinkedIn study, you will see when they talk about trends in the coming years, they talk about how right now a lot comes from lead generation. And lead generation is this outreach, this push kind of methodology where we call someone, we email someone, and so on. And then less than half of the sales conversation, or at least the marketing qualified conversations, come from branding in B2B. They expect that over the next years, this will flip, and actually branding will matter in 3 out of 4 cases. So what that means is it's paramount that you start content, and content will be video content. Even blogging will take a different dimension, because Google starts understanding that long content is boring for people. People don't have time to read, 1,000 words article and so on, and they start prioritizing short content, really simple answers, and video. There's a battle on video right now because Google and Facebook are trying each to capture as much as possible from the video marketing. And for example, a really quick tip that I can give you in terms of video in this second, start sharing your videos via Facebook, even if you are in B2B, because this will help you with your organic traffic. We have our colleague Sorin in the call here. He's a specialist when it comes to SEO and paid ads and so on. So he can definitely help you if you have any questions. But this was like my really quick tip in terms of how you can quickly build a brand. I'd like to share a case study for a B2B SaaS. So this is actually B2B SaaS that addresses HR as a buyer persona, so HR managers. And we did the video marketing for them. So we put together this very nice video. My colleagues can link the video, or I will do this after when I have a break. But I wanted to actually share with you what video plus paid ads, how much does this pay off? And in here, we see impact on branding, basically. So how much a video pays off. And if you see, we powered the video with paid ads. And 67% came from the paid ads budget, basically. And when we say awareness, we say things like impressions, sessions, things that are related to awareness and to branding. But I also thought it's a good idea to see, comparing to offline content creation, how much will this matter? So how much this particular campaign, the data that it's here, it's strictly on this campaign, okay? So basically, you can compare paid campaign with everything else. You can still see that in the number of contacts generated, paid was the biggest portion. So when you think about your budgets, as Oana was mentioning, allocate a large portion for paid, because I think that in terms of organic search, Google will change a lot over the next year to understand what's AI generated, what's not AI generated, to embed the new behaviors of the public and so on. And the only thing that we'll be able to count on to produce new channels for marketing and sales are the predictable ones. Paid search on LinkedIn is even better for B2Bs, okay? I think that it's much more impactful because we know for sure our audience is there. But again, very much depends. This is a high ticket SaaS, but if you're a small ticket SaaS, then of course our channels are more important. This is strictly for B2B. So whatever I'm sharing right now is our direct experience on B2B. This is a particular case study for B2B SaaS, okay? And as you see in here, these are channels. This report actually is generated with data from November, but starting the data is January to November, okay? So you expect that in the next 12 months, things are not going to radically change, right? So even if we take into account that maybe other things will rise, and I actually expect video to rise much higher, so anybody that produces video will be ranked much higher, I think that still this is really a valid sort of a result and channel split that we can use in B2B, if that makes sense. Do you have questions about this particular case study? No?
Loredana, if I can interrupt a little bit.
Please.
maybe give a chance to the participants to send us some questions. The surprise of the webinar today is that we actually have somebody from HubSpot joining in. This was towards the end of my presentation, but I understand that his time is very limited, and I want to give a sneak preview towards what we're doing towards the end of the year. And Adrian, if you wanna turn on your mic a little bit and let us know what HubSpot has prepared for us this end of the year, and we're also after that gonna say what we're putting in the sweet deals.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for the intro and for putting this great webinar together, and thanks for giving me a chance to speak. So as you all may know, HubSpot is a public traded company, so at the end of the fiscal year is a really big deal. Hence, there are some incentives for net new products if you decide to purchase by the end of the year, and you can expect based on different criteria all the way up to 30% discount, of course, based on the number of products, contract length, monthly or yearly payment, but there's much more flexibility than in all the rest of the year. So if you want to discuss details, of course, Daniel will be here and he can also share my information, and I'm happy to discuss the commercial side as well as help with the consultation alongside the partners, if that's the case.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing, Adrian. And once again, thanks for joining. I know you have another call coming up. Just to let everyone know, in the webinar over here, for anybody choosing to opt in for HubSpot, we're really throwing in something towards the special deal that HubSpot is offering. I didn't know that we're even going towards 30%, but to add more to the deal, we're offering the free onboarding. So that's around 60 hours of our digital marketing automation experts work, just to make sure that we have everything set up for you. And clearly, because it's winter and this is the perfect time for a strategic approach, we can get you set up, and this won't mean another cost for you.
Awesome. This is great news. I think that we're going to have an amazing end of year with, such good discounts. We use HubSpot for ourselves, and we implement HubSpot with most of our clients and partners. We actually believe it is a very good tool, both for automation, but also to help you understand a lot about what works, what doesn't work in your marketing and sales. So yay, I'm happy to see
exactly,
and to see so much flexibility, because I know sometimes this can be a roadblock when trying to adopt new tools. Let's resume then a bit of where we were with our conversation. I wanted to mention that in terms of channels, there's quite a lot that we can go through. That's why in the slides I added, more about data and analytics and so on. However, again, because I think we need to focus and results come from focusing, that's why I insisted on video and paid. I think this combo will produce like the best results, and you will get immediate outcome in terms of both awareness, but also in terms of actual sales. And we've seen that over and over this year. That's my basically I'd like you to have this takeaway from this, that these are the channels to focus on. But again, if you have the manpower, if you have the capacity to drive more marketing channels and so on, focusing on each of that in the list, it's awesome when we can have a separate conversation about that. I'm going to follow up this course with a lot of video content on LinkedIn, where I will disseminate on each of these topics, but I'd like to give Daniel a chance to take over the screen because he will talk about tools. So Daniel, please take over.
Hi again, everyone. Once again, thanks for joining today. I see that most of the people that joined, and even new people, because we sent out the direct link on LinkedIn, joined towards this part of the webinar. Today, let me share my screen. I want to talk to you first of all about saving some time for your day-to-day activities. And exactly like Loredana was saying, maybe you save some time and you're able to produce some content. Who knows? Because there's a lot of tasks that can be automated, and one of them is your LinkedIn outreach, clearly. So instead of spending so much time trying to figure out which are the contacts and or profiles that you want to target most, or trying to maybe automate everything clearly in your outreach campaign, because what you want to do is just spend the time connecting and communicating with these people that are actually responding to your messages. I know we have some new people, so I skipped my presentation. I'm with NNC, just to put it shortly. I'm with NNC for around 4 or 5 years, something like that. I plan on staying here. So whatever are your needs, and in terms of both automating and also improving your processes and just digital marketing in general, feel free to reach out, because I will leave my contact details over here. So happy to be here, happy to talk to you about Linked Helper today. This is the tool that allows you to automate your outreach campaign on LinkedIn, and basically save that time that I was talking about and use it to more wisely and generate some content, or just nurture your leads. Like you can see in my presentation, this tool allows you to automate your connection requests, just increase your profile visibility and your network of contacts. You can also set up a lead generation campaign and set up automated messages that are sent towards your prospects in a timely manner. There's a lot of variables that you can tweak inside the tool, but I won't bore you with that.
Daniel, appreciate it. What's interesting is that for example, even I use Linked Helper just to accept the invites sometimes, because I don't have time to go and interact with lots of people that may follow us after conferences or and I love, sometimes it's not polite to accept the invite immediately. So sometimes I use it just for that, and just to, get the feel of what's everybody doing in my network and so on. So you can use this tool. It's actually like a LinkedIn CRM if you want to. So it's really good for different kind of purposes, even asking for intros or things like that. So I find it very useful. Also for inviting my network of contacts, for example, when we have such an event, it's much easier, and I could write like, there's 1,000 people, let's say, in my network of over 20,000 contacts that I can think that could benefit from such a conversation about budgets. But then if I wouldn't have this tool, I wouldn't have time to email each one and tell them, here is an event that you may be interested in or something. So I find it really useful. Again, it has to be, as everything that's really powerful, it has to be with very strict dosage. Because too much of this and spamming everyone is not a good idea, that's for sure.
Another neat tool that I have is Apollo. I'm using Apollo every day, to be honest, and I'm using it either to find out the contact details, because it is compliant. Even people at Google are using this, salespeople at Google, some of my friends. So I can use the tool to find out professional email addresses, or maybe some information about companies, all together in one place. As you can see, I have data enrichment as well. If I have a list of emails, for example, and I want to find the associated LinkedIn profiles to those emails, clearly I can insert that CSV into Apollo, and it will pull up my their LinkedIn profiles, and that's amazing. amazing, and even more information about their companies and even contact numbers if it finds them. And a really neat thing that it has, like everybody's pushing right now, is the buying intent. I can go over here and I can talking about account-based market, and if you want to go targeted, this is a trend for quite some time right now, for tools to be able to identify if a person from that company has looked online or has inquired online about the type of services that you're offering, probably of the type of communication that you want to bring out to the public. So in our case, maybe I want to actually I won't select high because I don't know exactly the amount of profiles that we will the companies that it will bring up, but I can take digital marketing services, and I can wait a little bit and see how many people, this is like worldwide clearly, and are looking at digital marketing services. Besides that, clearly, like we were talking about LinkedIn and Sales Navigator, I can start looking at other filters to narrow my search to revenue, funding. Maybe they were posting something. In our case, maybe they posted that they need a digital marketing manager, and that was the case that we stepped in many of the times in our projects and collaborations. Apollo, like I said, it's a great tool for reaching out to people, finding out their contacts, and also managing conversations in sequences. I can automate a series of emails that I can send from my license, and it also has clearly a free plan for you to figure out how you can properly do these things.
Thanks for sharing. And there's a ton of tools. We actually have a very extensive list. So if you contact Oana and Daniel, they will provide you with tools that are free and you can use in your lead generation efforts. And I'm going to use this phrase to lead into Oana's conversation for effective lead generation tools, because, no matter how much we insist on content and branding and so on, still everybody focuses on lead generation. But so all of the tools that Daniel mentioned were not associated with them. So please understand that you can use this at your own will and volition. It's not anything we don't have to gain out of this other than seeing that you succeed. We are still associated with HubSpot, and we are a partner of HubSpot, but even HubSpot has free subscription that we can help you implement. Daniel, would you like to add anything about this?
I'm good. Just that I will be here and I'll be leaving out my contact details. And I know we have a few people even interested about HubSpot. So really, really excited to continue that conversation.
Yeah, to tell the truth, in our history of being a partner, we have not seen this big of end of year discount.
Yeah.
So anybody that even considers HubSpot, I think sometimes, when this happens, you just have to jump on it before it quickly goes away. So please continue the conversation, and let's get to Oana, because there's a ton that she can share with us, and we're short on time already.
Like we usually are.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I'll try to be really effective, but before I dive into this, I just wanted to share with you that I've been getting some private questions around budgeting, and one thing that came up is that this general rule of thumb, Gartner 10% idea, if it works for everybody, I would say it's really the benchmark for established companies, small and medium established companies, but it definitely varies. For instance, in startups, especially in tech startups, this percentage really goes up because obviously they cannot relate it to their unexisting revenues. And it's really closely linked to the investors' expectations, what investment they have to put into that. And most of them put extra money into marketing just to gain some awareness, some market, and so on. Also, obviously, in high competitive markets, this percentage can go up. But in the same way, it can go down when you are on a very niche area with really specific customers. So just take it with a grain of salt. And obviously, we can connect to see what's the best scenario that works for you. Now, going back to lead generation and actually putting Daniel's tools into a broader perspective, I'm going to talk to you about lead generation, conversion, and what's going to happen in 2024. And we'll dive a bit into what the economic impacts were on lead generation, because, and I'm sure this is something many of you can relate to. We've seen a lot of changes in how the campaigns perform and how the sales cycle goes in general. Then we're going to talk about what are the expected trends in B2B lead gen, and I'll try to leave you with some clear step-by-step ideas and how you can enhance your strategy around lead generation. So, talking about the economic factors that impacted B2B lead generation. First of all, we had all these recession forecasts, which brought a really cautious spending environment. So people were really cautious around answering to emails. We had longer sales cycles. So this actually put the emphasis on a more personalized and impactful outreach, such as account-based marketing in many areas. Layoffs, do more with less. This was also a major factor that impacted how lead generation went. AI surplus. So this inflation of AI tools I was talking about at the beginning actually also brought an oversaturation on the market. There was a lot of experimentation as well as an inflation of messages. I'm pretty sure many of you already got a lot of similar messages on LinkedIn, all of them starting with, I hope this message finds you well, and so on, and other key phrases that you will notice were made by AI. So there was this inflation of messages, which kind of brought a very cautious reply from potential prospects. The comeback of B2B in-person events, this also impacted lead generation campaigns, especially outbound lead generation campaigns in certain periods during the year. So when people were more focused on interacting and networking and being offline with their own customers, they were definitely less responsive to campaigns on LinkedIn or on other channels. And all these trends are actually setting the stage for what's going to happen in 2024. Now, I've tried to summarize some of the trends experts and market studies say is going to happen around outbound lead gen. There are 7 key strategies we've seen in most of them. First of all, content marketing. Loredana mentioned that as well, and I will talk more about it in a minute. Search engine optimization, social selling, email, influencer, and I'm going to talk about salespeople as influencers, video, and event marketing. Now, AI and machine learning obviously is another major topic that's revolutionizing client acquisition. Personalized messaging, so tailored messages for better engagement, especially in this AI-driven world where all seem to look the same. You can be a little different by having a very personalized approach and putting in the human factor. And I would say another important factor, an enhanced prospect discovery process and tools. I'm pretty sure we're going to see, more sophisticated databases and tools due to AI, a better segmentation, targeting. I'm pretty sure LinkedIn has something up the sleeve with integrating AI in the future. And like Loredana said, LinkedIn is still a key tool for networking and prospect discovery. So if you wanted to take it aside for next year, don't do it. It's still the major and most important for B2B lead generation. Now, the content's role in outbound strategies, I cannot stress this enough. It's becoming a key tool for a salesperson, and it's really pivotal in attracting and nurturing prospects. Now, businesses that focus on creating content that address the specific challenges and needs of their target audience will really come up from the crowd. Salespeople producing content. So we are expecting salespeople to develop more as influencers, thought leaders, in the near future. So investing into content as tools for your salespeople, or investing into your salespeople personal branding, is going to be really important for the following year. And here are some figures in HubSpot Sales Trends report they had at the middle of this year. There was a significant 48% increase year on year this year compared to 2022 of use of sales enablement content. It grew up really significantly. And what type of content? Well, the customer testimonials, but they kind of changed into forms. So people are looking at videos. So if you are able to bring your customers into with a short video testimonial, that would bring a lot of impact into your lead gen process. Social media content, and attention please, is not just social media content from your company's LinkedIn page. It's social media content produced by your salespeople, the people who are doing lead generation. Product demos, reviews, and competitive analysis. These are the top 5 that prospects resonate most with. I'd like to walk you through a clear step-by-step way of approaching your lead generation process for 2024. And first of all, I would say quality over quantity. So identify high quality prospects. For the past years, I believe we were so eager to kind of counteract the pandemic effects, and we were just doing a lot of messaging, a lot of spamming. We are really wasting time. So really focus on identifying who your target decision makers are. And this also means revisiting your buyer persona, by the way, because we've seen a lot of cases where people are still using buyer personas from 3-4 years ago, but those have changed a lot, have changed in terms of profile, new decision makers, new generations are in place, but also in terms of habits, what they were doing to acquire services. A few years back, they're not doing the same things, they're using different channels. So make sure you revisit your buyer personas together with your marketing and sales teams. Now, these are the sources from HubSpot's survey that say what are the best channels for high quality prospects. So apparently social media, referrals from existing customers, it's still on top. And by the way, if you do not already have a formal referral system for your company, you should definitely take that into consideration for next year. Email marketing done well. Telemarketing is coming back into the top. Website, blog SEO, and obviously trade show and events. A bonus insight, this year, webinars were really at the very bottom of the list. So obviously, this strategy seems to have slowed down since the pandemic. So if you came here to generate some leads, you're probably not in the right place. You came here to get some information. But apparently, these are going away and being replaced with real life trade shows and events. The second thing I would suggest you do is build relationships. So there is a lot of discussion around where is the human factor in an AI-driven process, in an AI-driven world. In sales and lead generation, incorporating value and building human-to-human direct relationship becomes more and more important. So be honest with your customers, exceed their expectation, provide exclusive perks and value before you go into the sales pitch. This is something that's gonna drive lead generation quite well. Now, third, automate, and I would say at least the first steps of the outbound lead generation process. And like Daniel has shown to you, there are tools like Link Helper that can help you do that. So even if it's just, you know, making sure you have a right buyer persona set up and setting invite to connects, and some tool does that for you in the background on a daily basis, even for a few hours, that will save you a lot of time and money. We have this figure from HubSpot. So sales professionals estimate they save about 2 hours and 15 minutes daily using AI or automation tools to automate manual tasks. So if you are using LinkedIn or other such tools or Crystal Knows, that will give you a lot more time to build that relationship and to directly interact human to human with your leads and with your prospects. 4, if you haven't done that already, use AI. And there is this interesting graphic with what do sales professionals use generative AI for. And interestingly enough, content creation is on the first. Second, we have prospect outreach, research, and data analysis and reporting. So pretty much all throughout the prospecting and sales process, AI can be integrated into the lead generation activity. Fifth, so I'm going back to build your own. If you are in charge with sales or your salespeople's personal brand, there are these interesting figures from what happens when sales and marketing people build their personal brand. So, you know, salespeople convert 7 times more because they're able to build that trust. And like Loredana said in the beginning, prospects are doing their own research. They want self-service. They want to do their own documentation around solutions, and they will definitely take a look at what you are writing about and what you are promoting under your LinkedIn profile or your blog posts and so on. So this is really, really crucial. And creating content to boost credibility, I'm going to stress this again, like my colleagues did, but I just wanted to give you this interesting graphic that says some of the traits that B2B buyers value in salespeople are obviously active listening, which is crucial to any type of sales, but problem solving. So if you want to create content to boost credibility, think about what problems you can solve for your prospects, for your potential customers. And just, you know, putting out there a short video on LinkedIn or a brief post about how you've solved the problem for one of your customers, that's a good idea to start creating content from. 7, follow a specific outreach formula. Obviously, this is valid for outbound lead generation. This is just an example of a sequence we've been using into one of our projects, but this can definitely vary and should be customized for each one of you. The most important thing here is patience. Any type of lead generation cadence should last, especially in B2B, over several weeks, days, weeks, even months, where there is such a case, and should be omni-channel. So not just sending over and over messages on LinkedIn. Use cold email, use videos on their emails, use telemarketing, telesales. Make sure you are also interacting with them in events. So the omni-channel approach and the specific outreach formula should be game-changing for lead gen. And last but not least, scale up successful strategies. This means that experiment on a small scale with smaller batches of prospects. Make sure it works, whatever you are doing. If it's LinkedIn, if it's telemarketing, if it's any other type of outbound lead generation, make sure you are experimenting with content, doing A/B testing, varying the call to action, and so on. And once you have shown and proven results, because nowadays we are able to see in real time what is the ROI and what are the conversions, once you have proven it, then you can scale it. Then you can move it further to a CRM or an automation platform to help you scale that. So if I were to summarize in these 8 steps, you're taking on the lead generation for 2024. I hope this would help. And now I'll just wrap things up with this quote from Michael Porter at Harvard. You may know him more from Porter's 5 forces theory. The essence of strategy is also choosing what not to do, not just what to do. And in the lead generation in particular, like I said, quality over quantity is key. So stop wasting your time with less qualified leads or with things that don't work just because you are used to it, and make sure you really focus on those who bring the best results.
Oana, thanks so much. This was awesome. I think we can open the Q&A, although it's a bit late now. We'd be very grateful if everyone can give us a bit of a feedback in terms of, first of all, if this was valuable and how can we make this better, in particular, what topics you'd be interested in hearing about, because we're planning on having such courses over the course of next year. We look forward to presenting you with a prompting course, which was very much requested. So we'll have that probably early next year. But before that, we'd like to see if there's questions for today's session. A small anecdote in regards to Michael Porter. He's so focused, because you mentioned that we have to be focused in our strategy, that when Mihai checks Mihai, the famous, Flow, the father of Flow, as we know it, asked him for an interview. He said he cannot waste time on this. So imagine how focused he was. This is how focused we need to be. So let's hear if there is questions. I'm sure there's a ton of questions, and Daniel and Oana will share there, and they already shared. I think Daniel shared already his meeting link. But tell us what you'd like to hear. Ask us. We are here to answer anything in terms of where should put your efforts, your budget, your money next year, your marketing dollars. How can you produce more with what you've got? So do let us know, what are those things that you need answers to.
So you can use the chat or just come off mute. I see an interesting note here from Greg. He says that direct mail is working well when combined with digital. Totally agree. I actually saw a very interesting post from somebody on LinkedIn earlier today who put a picture and he said, "Who sent me a coconut?" So somebody just sent him a coconut and invited him to a face-to-face meeting. So this was part of the lead generation process, obviously, and it obviously got their attention. So we are seeing this coming back. It was used back then, direct mailing, but apparently it's coming back as a strategy mixed with digital. You can definitely stand out from the crowd with that.
Yeah, and even including some nice visuals. Recently, I got an email with somebody waiting for my reply in front of a computer. They just asked some AI tool to generate an image of him waiting for my reply, and it even had an NNC Services brand and logo on the desktop PC. And the guy was like a skeleton, because he would be just another sales guy, clearly, but he got my reply at least, So be creative. use video as well. I use video in a bunch of my outreach messages. I just go custom and I record a 30-second video where I say, "Hi Bob, I was looking at your business. Maybe we can start a conversation, or here's my proposal. Let me walk you through it to this with this video." And I got a bunch of nice tools to do that as well. But I'm gonna keep more honey for more events to come. Or if you contact me individually, I'll walk you through clearly.
And with any interaction, try to provide value. This is why we are here for as well. We love to bring valuable and value to the market. And you know, money is kind of a result, right? So don't be very salesy. Try to provide value with every one of these interactions that Oana was mentioning. That's the best way to go about it.
Exactly. Many of the times I would maybe pick up some aspects or some details on their website or on their company page, then I would just give them some free advice how they can improve that, because I don't know if Sorin is still here. Yeah, our SEO expert is here, and he made sure to share some tips about how a web page should look and how many call to actions it should have and things like that.
Yeah. And I'd like to remind everyone that joined maybe later that we are going to provide assessments. So basically marketing assessments to see where you stand against the benchmarks and how you can improve some of the KPIs or of the outcomes of your campaign. So do reach out to Oana and Daniel. They'd be happy to walk you through what that process looks like. It's a really well documented assessment, and we've done this pretty much every year when setting up strategies for next year, so they could share it with you. Okay, I see no questions. So I hope that this was a valuable session. I really thank you for your time and for staying so late with us here in Europe and early in your day in the States. And I look forward to seeing you soon. As the holidays are coming, I wish you all a happy, New Year. And a successful year. Most of all, we're all ready to have this amazing business year that's coming to us. I've seen amazing events and huge things that are happening. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.